This is the Coach's Wife Life podcast. I'm Kristen Eargle, your host, a former TV sports reporter and fellow college football coach's wife. I'll go one-on-one with the strong women who are the backbone of college athletics and athletics of all levels. And now, Coach's Wife Life.
This podcast is brought to you by Ruler of Hope. Ruler of Hope is a nonprofit that supports medically fragile children. If you'd like to make a tax-deductible donation, you can use Venmo at Ruler-Hope or online at rulerofhope.org.
Hey there, I'm Kristen Eargle, and we have an exciting podcast ahead. But first I want to talk about something we all know way too much about, moving. Just the thought of that can bring an unsettling emotion. Well, I found a team that can take that load off your plate. It's D1 Relocation. This group can do it all. They can organize your move, coordinate with a moving company, and a trusted real estate agent. They can actually vet key household partners such as schools, insurance agents, physicians in the area. They can even help set up your Wi-Fi and water. It's incredible. So I've come to know this team, which is actually founded by a coach's wife. I think you should check it out, whether you're looking to move now or in the future. It's d1relocation.com. Now on to our awesome podcast. It is my honor to bring Maeve Oatsvall on the podcast. Maeve is the wife of Jeremiah Oatsvall, offensive coordinator at James Lawson High School in Nashville, Tennessee. Thank you, Maeve, for being a part of us today.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm super excited.
I know, we are personal friends. We've known each other for years now. We have a very unique relationship, and I'm so excited to get to share your story. A very incredible family. Let's talk about your man, though, like we always do on the podcast. Jeremiah Oatsvall, if you're from that region, you've probably heard their last name. Highly successful quarterback. Let's go back to the high school years at Brentwood Academy in Nashville. 2-time state title, MVP. He also won 3 basketball state titles, MVP, a couple of those there. Moving on to Austin Peay, where he was a quarterback, and we were there as an offensive coordinator. He was the Ohio Valley Conference Freshman of the Year. He transferred to Memphis and then also transferred to Tennessee Tech. We'll talk about that later. And then in just 1 year became the OVC's 4th leading in total yards. Incredible stuff. And now he's an offensive coordinator. So we move from player to coach. You have been along on the ride for the whole thing, being the supporting system. So you have a firsthand look at what makes him special. So tell us what makes him dynamic in his role.
Yeah. So I've, been able to watch his playing career since middle school, which is wild to think. But definitely one of the advantages to Jeremiah being so dynamic in his role as a coach has been the years that he has been able to play. And being a quarterback, that position as well, that takes a lot of communication and a lot of coaching, I feel like other teammates as well, to help them know where they're supposed to go and what he's supposed to do. And so just being able to be that key position on the field, I feel like has translated to also in the coaching world where he's at now. And so just having all that experience that he's had playing, I feel like has really helped him be dynamic now as a coach. Especially within all the different systems and the colleges and high school, just all of it together has really helped, encompass him as a coach.
Incredible in his role. One of those natural born leaders for sure. And then kept growing in that role in different ways. Okay. So did you ever see yourself as a coach's wife?
I did, since we were teenagers, I feel like Jeremiah, he's always voiced that he wanted to be a coach and a teacher growing up. So I kind of had, envisioned myself always at some point I was going to transition from, the significant other spouse, role of watching him play to now watching him coach. And so now I have the title of coach's wife, which I love.
I know, it's fun. Okay, so you already alluded to it a little bit. You guys met in middle school. Okay, I've actually never heard the true story of how you met.
So we went to the same middle school here in Nashville, and that's where we met. And we always say 6th grade. We met and we built a friendship, and that friendship grew. And then in high school, Jeremiah actually left the school we were at, and he went to a different high school in the Nashville area. So we were at different high schools, but we started dating freshman year of high school. And then so from there on, we've been dating, and then got engaged in 2019. Ooh, I'm having to go back a little bit, in college, and then ended up getting married in 2021 of May. And so we're about going on 3 years of marriage, which is crazy to think already.
No, it goes fast, doesn't it?
It
I
does.
mean, really, really fast. And then you played college soccer as well. I did not bring that up earlier. Tell me a little bit about that, because you went to different schools and navigated that as well.
Yes. So I played soccer my whole life. I started out and went to the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga for my first year and a half of playing soccer. And so Jeremiah was at Austin P at that point. So we were, doing some long distance, which was really tough, but also good. I think that also helps, the heart grow fonder, which was what I was always told. And so after a year and a half at UTC, I decided to transfer to Austin P and finish out my soccer career there.
And then, okay, so now you're in school right now, right? You've done your undergraduate, and what are you doing right now?
So I am currently finishing up PA school, which is physician assistant. I started in May of 2022, and I will be graduating this August in 2024. So I'm super excited, to get to that point and graduate and start working.
Now we've talked about state titles, and you've been along right by his side through that, and then college and seeing the success there, and you having success on the field as a soccer player. But not every day is that day where you're lifting a trophy or getting an MVP award. What do you say would be the toughest adversity that you both have faced, and what did you rely on to get through those moments?
One of the toughest times that we have faced as a couple was back in August of 2021, whenever I went through the process of donating a kidney to my dad. So that was a time when my dad was on dialysis. He was in end stage renal disease. And so that was a huge process within itself of having to go through the matching process to make sure, I was a match even for my dad. And also it was right after Jeremiah and I just had gotten married. So a couple months after that, we went through the process and the surgery. And that was also a time when Jeremiah was in football camp and fall camp, which that's a huge time in football. If you know college or any sort of season of football, that fall camp is huge. And so he was very busy and had a lot to do and go on with football and fall. So during that time, a lot of what we had to do was just heavily rely on our families, which they were huge parts and aspects of helping us get through that time of going through the surgery, recovery after surgery. And so that was a huge part of how we were able to get through that, was leaning on my family, leaning on his family, and also allowing Jeremiah to, be able to participate and keep going through the fall camp, which that was a big deal. And so that was really a tough time that we had to face and really navigate, especially as a newlywed couple. After just getting married, that was the toughest adversity we had faced as a married couple within only a few months.
Yes, and you're making such big decisions right then, early on. I would imagine those conversations were tough.
Yes, that time was definitely tough, but we very much heavily relied on the Lord during that time. Being able to lean on Him as well was a huge part of what gave us strength to get through that time. We prayed a lot, and we prayed for peace and strength during that time. And so really, outside of our families, the Lord was what got us through that. And I will say that forever, that, I don't think any of that would have been possible without Him. And so He's seen us every step of the way and got us through and got me to where I'm at now.
And how are you feeling now?
I'm feeling great. Everyone asks me every time I tell them, my story, and they're like, well, can you not do certain things? Has it restricted you? And I'm completely feeling the same that I did pre-surgery. I've never noticed it, except, if I see the little laparoscopic scars on my abdomen. Other than that, I'm not really reminded of it day to day. And so it's been a blessing, and my dad's doing great. He's back at work. He's working, and he's living the same normal life that he was before, the kidney transplant. So it's been a huge blessing to be able to do that for, my dad and myself and my family. So it's been amazing to get to do that.
How did it change you overall? I mean, he's living in Memphis at the time, playing football there, and you had your surgery in Vanderbilt, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're part, and your recovery process is having to be back home as well. How did it change you to walk through those types of things when, he's your best friend, but he's not right there?
That was a big adjustment during that time. But having, Jeremiah and I always in constant communication, whether that was through FaceTime, text messages, he was always checking in on me, even though he was super busy, I completely understood, he had a lot going on as well, and taking care of our 2 dogs as well. So it was just a process of being able to, make sure we kept in contact, even though we were, apart during that time. And he was a great supporter, from afar a lot during that time. And when he could come and visit, he was there. He made sure to be there by my side during when the times came that he could leave and come and visit. So it was definitely not something a typical young married couple probably, has to face in their first couple months of marriage, which is, crazy to think about, but it definitely strengthened our relationship and our marriage for the better.
And then, so you're married at this point, and then you transition to going from a player's wife to a coach's wife not too long after that. What would you say is maybe some of the biggest transition for you as you made that adjustment?
So watching Jeremiah, from middle school to high school to college, those were all times and years of him being the player and the quarterback. The quarterback is a huge role, in football. And so there was a lot of pressure and stress that kind of came along with that, for performing wise. So as a coach or as a player's wife, I had a lot of nerves and anxiety, and, every game I was on edge a little bit, just thinking, like, please protect him, and all that sort of stuff. But now transitioning into a coach's wife, there's still, that kind of level of a little bit of anxiousness and, just wanting him to be able to coach his team and players, to the best that he can. And so I think him having played quarterback was a big part to helping him how he is now as a coach, and being able to really help, the team offensively and help his players out.
Whenever I see you in the stands, you seem calm under pressure, and you're very calm. I mean, obviously, you've been a student athlete. If there's anything that your husband is known for, obviously, it's just being great under pressure. I mean, watching it firsthand, I was a sports anchor, and then now, sports reporter, and covered him working with Austin P in the post game interviews, and just watching it. We could be down, and then that guy would just make it happen. It was amazing. So, I mean, like, talk us through some of that. How do you do that? Help us out. Like, I'm raising kids right now. I mean,
Yeah.
cool under pressure. Those are some high intense situations. And then now, do you feel like you use some of that now as a coach's wife?
Yes. He definitely out there looks like he's, calm, cool, and collected. And especially when he was a player, he was on the field and he just could make magic happen, it seems like. And now as a coach, he's doing the same thing. He's very, collected and, shows not a ton of emotion, out of like anger or, stuff like that, worry. Like, you wouldn't know that just by looking at him on the field. But he's definitely been able to help himself in that aspect from being a player now transitioning to a coach.
What would you say you've been glad you've made a priority in your life as you navigate this life as a coach's wife?
One huge thing that has helped me out a ton has been getting to know a lot of the other coaches' wives that I'm around. And they're and the other coaches as well. Being able to be around and surround myself within the community of the football team has been a great aspect and huge part into helping me get through the season and postseason and all that sort of stuff. So just being able to have that community and to build around and to, really immerse myself in has been super helpful. And so I'm very thankful for the community that we have at James Lawson High School and the football program. And so that's been a great help for me.
Now, if I were to have Jeremiah on this podcast, he would probably brag on you a little bit and say you've played a role in some of his success. So let us hear about it. What do you think you've done that's played a piece of the success that he has had?
I think a big part of it just has been, showing up and supporting him wherever he's at. We've been, to different areas, different parts of Tennessee, it seems like, traveling and all that sort of stuff. So just really making the effort to show up for him, support him on and off the field. I want to be there for him on the field and cheering him on, but that time off the field is just as equally important. And being there for him, when times are tough, or even, in the great times of wins and losses, just being able to be there and support him and communicating with one another is a huge aspect of it as well.
Now, you've navigated a couple of times of transferring, and then he has as well. Usually I ask, because, obviously I have coaches' wives on that's been here, coaches' wives for 10 or 20 years. And, there's like a job we didn't get, and we're trying to keep our husbands encouraged. But I'm sure there's been something in your life, that an opportunity or playing time or something within his life that it didn't come exactly like he had planned. How do you keep him encouraged?
I have always told Jeremiah that God will open and close doors for a reason. So if the door's open, and that we pray about it, and that's, where we should go, that door has opened for a reason. And if the door is closed, I wholeheartedly believe there's a reason for that. And so really leaning into God in that time and praying and just praying that he will guide us in the right direction has been a huge part of it. And so just really leaning into, that thought of like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If it's not, then there's, reason for that.
Do you have someone you call when you're upset about things? Or you have a mentor in this business?
Yes, I actually have two right now that I can kind of think of. One is Erin Lilly. She is the wife of the head coach at James Lawson High School, Brian Lilly. She has been a great help for me during this first season as a coach's wife, especially with Jeremiah as an offensive coordinator. She's really helped me through, the tough times, the good times, and a lot of questions, that I might have that come up. She's been really great at helping me during that. And then also Gwen Oatsvall, who's my mother-in-law, she has been awesome as well during this whole, even season of life that, we've known each other, but she was a coach's wife for a long time as well. And so being able to, bounce things off her, being able to communicate with her about things when times are tough or, when they're going well, she's always there, and she's always there to support Jeremiah as well, which has been amazing. So really, getting to have her as a mother-in-law, I've been very blessed because she's been a huge help in a lot of aspects.
She is incredible, dynamic. The incredible amount of impact your family has had in the community of Nashville and its surrounding areas. 147 team, incredible stuff. You guys are involved with that as well.
Yes, heavily. 147 team has been a huge part of our lives, being able to serve and being able to show up in a lot of different places, especially in the Nashville community and surrounding areas. One thing I can think of was during the fall, we were able to put together a lot of gift bags and goodie bags for Christmas and Thanksgiving and back to school events, for the kids at James Lawson High School, which has been an amazing thing to be able to do, especially helping out the football team and supplying them with a lot of different needs that need to be met. And so that has been a great resource and organization to be a part of.
And then also, I've been following along on social media, Tennessee Homestead on the Hill. Every single time you're posting about or someone, Gwen or whoever has it, I'm like, oh, these little animals.
Yes.
When I bring Landry to Vanderbilt and Nashville, I'm gonna have to come see this. What's all this about?
Oh my gosh, yes. It's a ton of cute animals, and if you're really just wanting to have a space and time to unplug, with our world so, into our phones and computers and stuff like that, it's just a really great way to really, be able to get out into nature and grounding, put your feet on the ground and just really connect with the things that are in front of you that aren't your phone. And so they have 5 mini goats, like they're little cute mini goats that are so cute, and you can pick them up and hold them and feed them. And then there's 2 miniature donkeys that are maple and honey. They're super sweet, and you can feed them treats and give them good chin scratches and stuff like that. So it's just a great way to be able to really unplug and get out there.
Now, moving from a player to a coach, what are some of those ways you really try to connect with the student athletes there at Lawson?
One way is just really showing up and being present during, different times, the games. Sometimes I like to show up at practice and, just being able to put a face and a name together for them to know that, also what a, good marriage looks like between 2 people. And so I just love to be able to show up and being able also to talk with the players. I remember having one player come up to me and wanted to know more about the medical field because they were interested in it. And so being able to connect with them and trying to help them with their future as far as, just giving them insight to what they're passionate about and talking about has played a huge role in being able to really show up for the players. And especially, Jeremiah, he's been able to have a lot of great role models in his life as well. And one that I can really think of is Coach Eargle. He's really been with Jeremiah since the beginning at Austin P and also at Memphis. And so their relationship has always been one that I know he has really cherished. And so being able to see Coach Eargle, as a coach when Jeremiah was a player, how he led and was able to really, build those relationships with his players, Jeremiah's been able to do the same. And so I think that has been one relationship and as a coach and player, and now I guess coach and coach, that he's really been able to model a lot of what he does after.
And I can speak, the feeling is mutual for sure. We refer to him as J.O. in our house.
Yep.
But your family and him, he's had such an impact on us as well. And I think it's really special to see what he's doing now and not just as a player, but as an offensive coordinator. This is incredible to see unfold in your life and you moving into the coach's wife role. And then how do you stay connected so far? I mean, you're balancing going to school right now, the stress of all of that. That's hard. I can't imagine being back in school and trying to handle everything.
Yes, it's definitely been a juggling act at some points. Right now I'm on my clinical rotations. And so a lot of times that means being gone for 4 weeks in a different area because that's where I was placed. And so definitely the times that Jeremiah and I have together, we really want to take advantage, especially during season when it's super busy, and in postseason right now when it's, not as busy, but I'm still in school. So one thing that we love to do is we love to go on walks and take our 2 dogs on walks. We have 2 fur babies that we love as our own, Roman and Raven. And so we love to go walk in our neighborhood and take them on walks as much as we can. So that's one way that we love to stay connected. And then another would be we make it a priority every Sunday. We want to go to church. We want to be in person and go to church. And so that is another day that we, really set aside everything else and come together as a couple and, take the time and really spend some quality time together with each other. So
love it. Love it. Okay. So what do you do to relax?
Right now I am loving reading. I was not a huge avid reader in my past years ever. But recently I've started reading books, and I'm really into the fantasy world, which is kind of funny, but actually I always have my Kindle on me, it's always right next to me. So I can just pick it up and read. So I love to read. I love to try new foods, go to new restaurants when I can. So those are just a couple of the things that I really try to, do for myself to help, self-love and everything. So
Okay, last question for you before we hit the rapid fire. What are some of those rewarding aspects to you about being a coach's wife after year one and a ton to go?
I have enjoyed seeing Jeremiah as a coach so much because I'm being able to watch him impact his team and players on the field, but also off the field. He is a true role model for a lot of people, players, coaches, families. He's really been able to take that on and lead the team and help them in a lot of different ways. And so that has been something that I've just really enjoyed watching him as a coach's wife and being on the sideline and being there every step of the way that I can to support him and watch him as he grows as a coach over the years. So I'm very excited for what the future holds for us.
Love it. Okay, rapid fire. You ready?
I am.
Okay, this will be fun. What's the last book you've read?
So I'm on the last book of the Throne of Glass series. It's a fantasy romance book series, and I'm on the last book reading it currently. So I'm excited to get done with that one.
I never do blank at a game.
Oh gosh. I would like to say I never yell at the refs. Sometimes.
I don't know if I can say the same. Okay, if you could have dinner with someone other than a family member, current or from history, who would that be?
One of my childhood heroes, I guess, as a soccer player, female growing up, was Mia Hamm. And so if I could, have dinner with Mia Hamm, I think that would be super cool.
You get a night alone. What show are you binge watching?
I am currently binge watching Peaky Blinders. Loving it.
Okay, what sport can you beat Jeremiah in?
If you ask him, he would say none. I could beat him in none, but I'm going to get him in soccer. So
Yes. Okay, what would be your walk-up song?
Oh gosh, I would probably say What You Know by T.I. It's a older song, but Jeremiah and I love it, and it's a good hype song.
It is. I love that song. Thank you so much. It's been a joy to get to visit with you.
Thank you so much for having me.
This podcast is brought to you by Ruler of Hope. Ruler of Hope is a nonprofit that supports medically fragile children. If you'd like to make a tax-deductible donation, you can use Venmo at Ruler-Hope or online at rulerofhope.org.
For a replay of this episode or previous episodes, visit coacheswifelife.org and follow us on social media at Coaches Wife Life.